Amen. Amen.
This week we read about the Red Heifer, the Paraduma. There's a phenomenal Rambam in Hilchos Paraduma, the first parak. It's really mind-boggling. Kolakowski to show generally I don't say halacha now. Usually I say that after davening in the morning. This is hashkafa a little bit from this halacha. Kolakowski before mitchila vad seif shahayat fula yom kashem lamase para lekadosh lazis beyafara u'pisha dain leherab shimshon. There's different types of tumah, impurity, ritual impurity. You go to the mikveh, you're not pure yet until it gets dark. You're not tahor yet. So someone who went to mikveh, but it's not dark yet, is called a tvul yom. That it means that he immersed during the day, and it's still the day of his immersion, and yet the full extent of the impurity has not left him. Someone who's on that level has a certain level of purity, but a certain level of impurity, so he's okay to be involved in the preparation of the paraduma, of the red heifer, which the ashes were needed for the purification process of the highest form of tumah, to remove the impurity of death, tumas meis, in order to enter the base of mikdash. It was a whole process. In order to prepare it, a person could be on this intermediate level where he's considered pure on a certain level, but not totally pure, and he proves this from pasuk Shnei Parsha Ish Tahor, that says a man who was pure, meaning who atar l'maser sheni, that he's on the level of purity that he could eat meiser sheni, the second tithe, which in certain years there was a meiser, a tithe that was taken that the person had to bring to Jerusalem, to Yerushalayim, to eat. And he had to eat in a state of purity, but didn't have to be the purity of that the night fell on him. It was enough that he went to the mikveh. That was good enough that he could go and eat meiser sheni. Afal pishay netar l'struma, but someone a kohen to eat truma, which is another part, not a tithe. It's a smaller portion that was removed, that was given to the kohen. That could not be eaten until the Kohen would go to the mikveh, and then you have to wait during the day, and you have to wait till nightfall before he's pure on a high enough level for truma. So if he's on that intermediate level, he's pure enough to get ready to prepare the ashes of the paraduma and to be involved in that work. So so that's a halacha. It's interesting. The Rambam goes on to tell a little bit of history. At Sadducees, there was a sect called the Sadducees. In English they call the Sadducees. This group only believed, they claimed, only believed in the written Torah, and they didn't believe in the oral Torah. They only believed in Torah Shabbat, the Bible, not Torah Shabbat Peh, not the traditions that we have that are outside of, that are not written down in the Chumash. And Rabbi Beryl Wine, he said that really that group didn't start out of an ideal that they only wanted to follow the Chumash. I remember looking up in Webster's dictionary, an old Webster's dictionary, it described the Sadducees as being a more conservative group because they were solely based on the Bible, and the Pharisees, the Chazal, what they said that they were a little bit more liberal because they had their own interpretations. That's not true. That's heresy to say such a thing. The real original way was the way of Chazal. That's what we got from Moshe Rabbeinu. That's the original way, and it has to be that way. When you read the Chumash, there's no other way. We don't need to get into that right now, but we can discuss it at a different time. But really, it was the Tzaddukim who were trying to look for excuses not to follow the Torah ways, and so they claimed that we're only following what's written in the Chumash and nothing extra. So generally, maybe that made things easier, but a few things they didn't want to be hypocrites. So they maintained a few things that they wound up being stricter than us. For example, they wouldn't, since it says on Shabbos you can't burn any fires. They interpret that in any of your dwelling places. They interpret that to mean that there could be no fire burning on Shabbos in any Jewish home. We said no, as long as the fire was lit before Shabbos, it's okay. That's why we go out of our way to eat hot food. We eat cholent. We're demonstrating that we believe in the words of Chazal. You are what you eat. When you're eating the cholent, you're eating faith in the words that of the Torah that were revealed on the Har Sinai, not just what's written, but that was revealed in addition, and the Emunas Chachamim. So another thing that they wound up being stricter was that they said that in order to prepare the ashes of the paraduma, you had to be on that higher level of purity, that not only to go to the mikveh, but also to wait till nightfall. Leficha chayu bezin b'vayis sheni mitaminus hakoyin asarif v'sapara b'sheretz v'kiyotze by v'toivel v'chakach oisikba. It's an amazing thing that the faithful members of the Jewish people who were faithful to the Torah, who were faithful to Chazal, that, it's interesting, historically, the Mishnah tells us that from the time of Moshe Rabbeinu, all the way till the building of the second Beis Hamikdash, there was only one paraduma, because if you added more water to the ashes, it was good, it could last forever. It was lost by the Chorban, by the destruction of the first temple. When the second one was built by Ezra, they found another paraduma, and yet there was many other times subsequently in the times of the second Beis Hamikdash that they made a paraduma, and it was already by the time when we had the problems of the tzedukkim. So a lot of tzedukkim, a lot of kohanim, unfortunately, were tzedukkim, but there were kohanim who were faithful to the Torah, and that's where we have our kohanim from today come from those lines, the holy lines of the ones who were faithful to the Torah. So the Beis Din would go out of their way to make the Kohen who was preparing the ashes of the paraduma impure. He didn't need to be impure. Meaning he went out of his way to make him impure and said, now go to mikveh. This way you're not on the highest level of purity, but only on the secondary level of purity, just to show that the Sadducees are wrong. Why? Levatel divrei elu azedim shemorim me'oila rucham loy min kabbalah. Why did they go out of their way to make the Kohen impure? In order to nullify the words of these wanton people who were teaching things that came from their own minds, their own ideas, that they didn't receive from a tradition. Similarly, the vessels that they used, they went out of their way to make them impure and put them in the mikveh again, just in order to show that we don't accept even the chumras, even the stringencies of the tzedukkim. This has tremendous, ideals that you can learn from this. You could say a million droshes on this. We could all think of things on our own, what to say. The Rambam speaks for himself. But, there's a lot of things going on, and there's different ideas how to approach things. And really everyone is agreeing on certain things. I'm going to speak beremiza. But, sof kol sof, there was an argument not on an ideal, but rather an approach. Is it better to sit and learn, and that's chus we should be successful in what we're trying to accomplish, or something else which might take away from learning a little bit? Maybe from here, not that I want anyone to take sides, great people on both sides of this matter, but this Rambam could support the idea that sometimes you have to do things that are a little different just to demonstrate our separation from those who make up new ideologies that don't come from our tradition. Hamevin Yavin. But there's more than that. when we're dealing with trying to make things pure, sometimes you have to be impure in order to get. That's the whole idea of the paraduma, hamatar tameim and matam taharim. But even to the point where it wasn't even necessary to it, in order to demonstrate an authenticity in Torah, the Chazal went out of their way to do something that seems almost counterproductive and unnecessary. Ultimately, this was what they decided to do, and this was the halacha, and in that merit we should be worthy to the true purity which comes from the Torah, because the divrei Torah ain't matamim. The words of Torah don't become impure ever, and we should be worthy. What it says, it says, "Omer Bekiva Ashreichem Yisrael Lifnei Mi Atematarem Mitar Eschem Avichem Shebeshamayim." Or Bekiva said, "Who purifies you? Who makes you pure? Your Father in heaven." Shenamar Yisrakti Aleichem Mayim Taharim. Navi Yechezkel says, "I will sprinkle upon you pure waters, and you'll be pure, and you'll be pure from all your impurities." Remember, mikveh Yisrael Hashem, that the mikveh of the Jewish people, the hope and the source of purification of the Jewish people is a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and that's all we depend on, and no one else, and nothing else, only on God alone. And we demonstrate that by our holding strong and following the traditions that we received, and not making up new things from ourselves, but rather holding on to the tradition, the chain, the unbroken chain that goes back to Moshe Rabbeinu, that we should be worthy to be a link in the chain that will go to Mashiach as well.